AITA for not waiting for my wife at the next subway station after I got on the train, and the doors closed before she got on. Story 1. T. So basically, wife and I were in a rush to catch our subway train to go to a brunch with my parents at our favorite restaurant. We were already 10 minutes late, and my parents are always super punctual, and I didn't want to keep them waiting any longer for us. As we approach the escalator down to our subway platform, I can hear our train approaching. So I tell my wife that we need to catch the train, and we both hurry down the escalator, me in front of her. When we got to the bottom, I heard the subway door chimes, indicating that the doors were about to close. So I rushed into the train at the last moment, but my wife was left on the platform of the other side. I thought, okay, well, this sucks that I made the train, but my wife didn't. But it's not really a big deal because we both know exactly where we are going, and it's only 5 stops away. I will just meet her at the restaurant. I don't get any cell service underground, so we couldn't communicate with each other. So I arrive at the restaurant alone and greet my parents, who immediately question me about where my wife is. I told them what happened, and they didn't really seem to think much of it. But when she gets there 20 minutes later, she is all angry at me for not getting off the train at the next stop and waiting for her there, then getting on that train and continuing together. It made for a bit of an uncomfortable brunch, because we could all tell there was tension. After the brunch on our way home, she explained why she was mad, and then became all short with me, and pretty much gave me silence the rest of the way home. My position is that we both knew where we were going, and she knew my parents are easily irritated when I arrive late, so why would I have gotten off the train to wait for her unnecessarily? So AITA? Our advice. Based on the situation you described, it sounds like you're not the asshole NTA for refusing to pay for half of your ex-girlfriend's flight. Here's a short piece of advice. It's reasonable to offer to pay for your own ticket if you still plan to use it, but you're not obligated to cover her costs if she decides not to go. You've made efforts to accommodate her by suggesting she still use her ticket with a friend or by making alternative seating arrangements. If she chooses not to go, that's her decision and her loss. Stick to your position and handle the situation calmly and respectfully. First comment, AITA. New Yorker here. First, cell phones work on the subway at stops, so you could have texted her at any of the stops along the way and came up with a plan together. You probably even had time to text her while pulling out of the station where you jumped on and she didn't make it. Second, you say your parents are easily irritated when you arrive late, so do you think just having your wife be late solves that problem? Is she so inconsequential to your parents that they don't notice or care that she is late but care deeply that you are? Third, if you worry so much about being late, don't be late. Leave earlier and plan better. I'm currently getting ready for brunch in NYC. The subway ride should take 30 minutes, so I am adding 10 minutes to my travel time because I have a reservation, and if I just miss a train, I don't want to stress. Finally, you and your wife are a team. I'd argue any group of people traveling together are a team. You ask us why would I have gotten off the train to wait for her unnecessarily? Well, because it was necessary. You were traveling to a destination with your wife. The only reason you got on and she didn't is because you were in front of her on the escalator. You failed to even try and communicate after this happened. And you also could have diffused the situation at brunch by ordering her a drink and being really apologetic when she showed up. Instead, you put your punctuality to look good in front of your parents, in front of your parents, in front of your wife being your partner and teammate. Oh, and everyone knows you hold the door. You heard the ding, you jump on and turn sideways while looking back to make sure your other person gets on. You didn't even attempt to ensure your teammate made it through, and that makes you a giant NIC. Second comment. AITA. Of course you made the train and she didn't. You were already ahead and then raced to get there. I bet you would have ran around her if she were on the escalator ahead of you. You didn't even try to grab her hand or pull her along. You could have just waited for the next train together and texted your parents that you would be late. Not to mention automatic subway doors won't close if they're obstructed, so you could have blocked the door for a few seconds to let her catch up. But you didn't. You ditched her and made her look bad when you were both running late. More update 1. Edit. Wow. So many people here just assuming New York is the only city in the world that has a subway. I've never even been to America, LOL. More update 2. Edit 2. Yes, everyone, I am acutely aware that my judgment is I am an asshole. Thank you for all your contributions. I have apologized to my wife profusely and came home with flowers for her. Clearly, even before writing this post, I apologized numerous times to her. At the restaurant, on the way home, and hours afterwards. I'm usually a passive person and I don't like having conflict, so I literally apologize just to avoid conflict, even when I think I am correct, and I know in this case I am not. You can all make your judgments around my marriage and how I am undeserving, but you've read a few sentences on the internet to make that determination. Story 2. AITA for blowing up on my wife when she made a joke about wanting me to buy her a Porsche. I married my beautiful wife Hannah almost a year ago. Now I love her more than anything, but she was a bit of a bridezilla, and everything at the wedding had to be perfect. I work in an industry where ass-kissing and nepotism runs rampant, so we invited people I work with to the wedding. Chris, the owner of the firm, showed up with his wife, who was wearing white with flowers, and Hannah was fuming. She felt she did it on purpose, as she had apparently been catty in the past, and demanded I kick her out. I told her I could not kick my boss's wife out, but then I could see it was ruining her day, and her mo was threatening red wine, which would have been worse. I told them as gently as I could. His wife was like, "But it has flowers," but they did leave. My mom told me I was a F-king IIOT and better not expect a loan from her when this blew up. Well, long story short, I didn't get the promotion I had a good chance of getting. Chris now treats me like a joke and wants nothing to do with me, and the rest of the firm is laughing behind my back. I am looking for another job, but it is what it is for right now. Hannah desperately wants a bigger house so we can start our family. Also, I saw her eyeing some jewelry my sister's boyfriend bought her, and it just makes me feel like shit. Well, my mom turned 50 the other day, and my stepdad showed up with a Porsche. In the car, Hannah joked I should get her one for her upcoming birthday, and I kind of lost my temper. I yelled that if she didn't make me kick my boss's wife out, maybe I could. Hannah burst into tears, and when we got home, locked herself in a room. Our advice. Firstly, regarding the incident at your wedding, it's understandable that Hannah was upset about your boss's wife wearing white, especially if there had been past tension. However, the way the situation was handled, including your decision not to confront your boss directly, seems to have had negative repercussions for you professionally. It's a tough spot to be in, balancing personal and professional dynamics, but it might have been helpful to discuss a plan with Hannah beforehand, rather than making a decision in the moment that ended up causing more harm than good. As for the recent incident with the Porsche joke, it seems like it served as a trigger for the unresolved issues from the wedding incident and the subsequent fallout. Blowing up at Hannah might have been a release of pent-up frustration and stress from everything that has happened since. However, it's important to recognize that reacting in anger doesn't typically lead to productive resolutions. It's understandable that Hannah would be hurt by your outburst, especially if she didn't fully understand the extent of your feelings about the situation. Moving forward, it's crucial to address the underlying issues in your relationship and communication. This might involve having an open and honest conversation with Hannah about your feelings and concerns, as well as actively listening to her perspective. Additionally, seeking support from a couples counselor could help facilitate productive discussions and provide guidance on navigating these challenges together. In terms of your professional situation, it's commendable that you're actively looking for another job. However, it might also be worth considering if there are any steps you can take to address the current dynamics at your workplace, whether that involves discussing your concerns with HR or seeking mentorship from someone who can provide guidance on navigating office politics. Overall, it's clear that there are challenges in both your personal and professional life that need to be addressed. Taking proactive steps to improve communication, seek support, and address underlying issues can help pave the way for a healthier and more fulfilling relationship with Hannah, as well as a more positive professional environment. First comment. I wore white to a wedding once because I flew into town from 2 time zones away, only to discover that I'd left my planned attire on my bed at home. My date drove me to the mall before the wedding, but the only thing I could find quickly was a white summer dress. My friend, the groom, and his new wife didn't really care. Someone wore white to my wedding because she was of Persian descent and didn't know the non-white attire guidelines. I noticed, but didn't really care. Healthy people know that things happen. Healthy people accept that they can't control the actions of others. Healthy people don't assume the worst intentions on the part of other people. And when those intentions truly are nefarious, healthy people don't let unhealthy people ruin their mood, much less their wedding day. Having a guest who is wearing white to your wedding may be a little irritating, but it is not a kick a guest out of your wedding level offense. Second comment. Obviously, you don't wear white to a wedding, regardless of whether it has flowers on it or not. Chris's wife is stupid. That being said, I'm assuming she was just a regular guest who wouldn't have been in many, if any, pictures. Tell the photographer to avoid taking any pictures with her in them, and advise your inner circle bridesmaids, groomsmen, family, etc. to avoid making any comments, positive or negative, on her dress, and it would have all been fine. Honestly, your job sounds like a nightmare, having to invite your boss to a wedding, but if I was kicked out of a wedding, I wouldn't promote the asshole either. You both sound absolutely made for each other in the nicest way possible. And so do Chris and his wife. Why all sound like IIOT.